The Galactic Cultural Exchange Summit was meant to be a celebration. Representatives from 83 species had gathered to share their finest artistic achievements. Music, sculpture, literature, performance art, all carefully curated to showcase the pinnacle of each civilization's creative output. Earth's delegation had brought a collection that confused everyone. Ambassador Chen stood before the assembled crowd as holographic displays activated around the Grand Hall, showing humanity's contribution. This, announced Valkyra, the Altarian art critic and summit coordinator, is what humans consider art. The first image showed a simple cave painting. Crude handprints in red ochre. Stick figures hunting animals. Valkyra's translator carried her disappointment clearly. This is primitive, childlike. Most species achieve this level of artistic expression within centuries of developing tool use. You've had thousands of years since then. Surely you brought more. Sophisticated works. Polite laughter rippled through the audience. Ambassador Chen smiled. Actually, that painting is 44,000 years old. It's from a cave in Indonesia. Those handprints, they're from a human who wanted to say I was here. I existed. The laughter died down slightly. But you're right, Chen continued. Let me show you more recent work. The display changed. A haunting image appeared, a young girl in a tattered dress, eyes hollow with starvation, a vulture waiting nearby. This is a photograph by Kevin Carter, taken in Sudan during a famine in 1993. He won a Pulitzer Prize for it. It's disturbing, someone said. Yes, it disturbed Carter too. He took his own life 3 months after winning the award. The guilt of photographing suffering instead of immediately intervening destroyed him. But this image changed human history. It made the world pay attention to the famine. Aid poured in. Lives were saved. Chen looked at the assembly. You see, human art isn't just about beauty. It's about truth. Even when truth is ugly. Next image, Picasso's Guernica, a massive, chaotic painting of death and destruction. This is Guernica by Pablo Picasso. It depicts the bombing of a civilian town during the Spanish Civil War. Picasso painted it in fury and grief. It became a global symbol of the horrors of war. Why would you celebrate war in art? Valkyra asked, genuinely confused. We're not celebrating it. We're remembering it. We're saying these happened, and it was terrible, and we must never forget. Another image. A simple acoustic guitar, worn and scratched. This guitar belonged to Woody Guthrie. He wrote a message on it, "This machine kills fascists." During World War II, he used music as a weapon. Songs about justice, equality, resistance, art as activism. The alien delegates were beginning to look uncomfortable. You don't understand, Chen said softly. Let me show you what human art really is. The displays changed rapidly now. The Diary of Anne Frank. A teenage girl hiding from genocide, writing about hope and humanity while death searched for her. She died in a concentration camp. Her diary survived. It's been read by millions. It keeps the memory of the Holocaust alive. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial, 58,000 names carved into black granite. No glory, no heroism, just names. Every person who died. Their families come to touch the names to remember. That's the entire purpose, remembering. Schindler's List. A film about the Holocaust that made the director, Steven Spielberg, cry every day during production. He donated all profits to education about genocide. The art hurt to create, but it needed to exist. The AIDS Memorial Quilt. Thousands of fabric panels, each one made by someone mourning a person who died of AIDS. The entire quilt weighs 54 tons. It's a monument to love and loss. Art is grief. Chen's voice grew stronger. You want to know what makes human art unique? It's not skill. It's not technique. It's not even beauty. Then what is it? Valkyra asked. It's that we create art from our worst moments. We turn trauma into truth. We make beauty from pain. We document horror so future generations won't forget. More images flooded the displays. Francisco Goya's The Disasters of War, 80, 2 prints showing the absolute brutality of the Napoleonic Wars. No glory, no heroes, just suffering. Goya was saying this is what war really is. Wilfred Owen's war poetry. Dulcet decorum est. A soldier poet writing about watching his friend die from poison gas. Published posthumously because Owen was killed a week before the war ended. His words destroyed the romantic notion of war for an entire generation. Blues music. Born from slavery. Created by people in chains who turned their suffering into songs. They couldn't write their history in books they were forbidden to read. So they sang it instead. Coded messages. Stories of pain. Dreams of freedom. Frida Kahlo painting herself after a bus accident left her broken. She turned chronic pain into art. Every painting was a way of saying, I'm hurting, but I'm here. Chen walked into the center of the holographic displays. You look at our art and see primitive cave paintings and disturbing photographs and angry music. But you're missing what they really are. And what are they? Valkyra asked quietly. Their survival, their resistance, their memory. Chen's eyes were intense now. Humans create art because we're terrified of forgetting. Every piece of art is a time capsule, a message, a warning, a prayer. She gestured to the cave paintings. Those handprints, a human saying I existed 44,000 years ago. And we heard them. We preserved the photograph from Sudan. It said people are dying and the world doesn't care. And we cared. We acted. Guernica. It says war kills innocence. We remember? Anne Frank's diary. It says I was a person. I had dreams. Don't forget me. We haven't. The hall was completely silent now. Human art isn't pretty. Chen continued. It's often brutal, honest, raw. We paint our wars, write about our genocide, sing about our slaves, photograph our starving, film our atrocities. Waman asked. Why preserve such darkness? Because if we don't, Chen said fiercely, we'll repeat it. Human history is filled with horrors. We've committed genocide after genocide, slavery, torture, mass murder. We've done terrible things. And your art celebrates this? No! Chen's voice was hard. Or art mourns it, documents it, refuses to let it be forgotten or minimized or excused. Every piece of memorial art is a promise never again. She pulled up one final image. The mushroom cloud over Hiroshima. This photograph exists so we never forget what nuclear weapons do. Artists painted it. Musicians wrote about it. Filmmakers recreated it. Poets captured the horror in words. Why? So humanity would always remember the price. And did you? Valkyra asked. Did you learn? We haven't used nuclear weapons in war since 1945. 80 years and counting. Because we created art that made sure we could never forget what they do. Chen looked around the hall. You brought us your most beautiful creations. Music that pleases. Sculptures that inspire. Stories that uplift. And they're wonderful.
Truly, but they're also safe.
Valkyra bristled. Yes, they don't challenge, don't disturb. Don't force you to confront uncomfortable truths. Chen smiled sadly. Human art is dangerous. It asks questions you don't want to answer. Shows you things you don't want to see. Makes you feel things you'd rather avoid. We have protest art. Someone objected. Political statements. Do you have art that made your leaders cry? That changed your laws. That saved lives by forcing people to confront atrocities. Chen asked. Silence. Do you have artists who died for their art? Who were imprisoned for what they created? Who were hunted for the truths they told? More silence. Human artists have been executed, exiled, tortured, banned, burned, silenced, and they created anyway. Because the truth mattered more than safety. The message mattered more than comfort. Chen pulled up a new display. Lists. Thousands of names. These are human artists who were killed for their work, writers murdered by governments, musicians assassinated for their lyrics, painters imprisoned for their images, journalists killed for their photographs. They knew the risk. They created anyway. Because some truths are worth dying to tell. The assembly stared at the endless lists of names. This is what you don't understand about human art? Chen said quietly. It's not decoration. It's not entertainment. It's not even primarily about beauty. It's our weapon against forgetting. Our shield against repeating history. Our way of saying this happened, this mattered, these people existed, and we will not let them be erased. She walked back to her delegation. So yes, our art is primitive cave paintings, disturbing photographs, Bruegel films, painful poetry, memorials to our dead, monuments to our failures. Because that's what we are. We're the species that turns suffering into song, trauma into truth, pain into purpose. We don't make art to forget our past. We make art to remember it, to learn from it, to make sure future generations understand the cost of our mistakes. Valkyra was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke, her voice different now. Thoughtful. I may have misunderstood the purpose of your collection. Most species do, Chen said. They think art should be beautiful, uplifting, inspiring, and humans. We think art should be true, even when truth is ugly. Another delegate spoke up, a crystalline scholar. But surely you have beautiful art, happy art. Of course, Chen smiled. We have love songs and comedy and landscapes and portraits. We celebrate joy too. But those aren't what we brought today? Why not? Because joy doesn't need to be remembered the same way pain does. Happiness doesn't need to be documented and preserved and taught. But suffering, atrocity, horror, those need witnesses, need records, need art that refuses to let them be forgotten. Chen pulled up one last image. A simple photograph of a man standing in front of a line of tanks, Tiananmen Square, 1989. One man, facing down military force. This image is banned in the country where it happened. They want it forgotten. But artists around the world copied it, painted it, sculpted it, referenced it, kept it alive. That's what human art does. It preserves what power wants erased. The hall was silent for minutes. Finally, Valkyra stood. I believe we need to reconsider our criteria for this summit. Earth's delegation has shown us something we didn't understand. What's that? Chen asked. That art isn't just about creating beauty. It's about creating memory, and perhaps. She looked at the images still floating in the hall. Perhaps that's more important. That night, the summit's awards were announced. Earth didn't win Most Beautiful, or Most Technically Accomplished. They won a new category created specifically for them, Most Necessary. Because the other species had finally understood, human art wasn't about making people comfortable. It was about making sure they never forgot, and in a galaxy that preferred to forget its dark moments, that made human artists the most dangerous creators of all, not because they made beautiful things, but because they made true things. And truth, the galaxy was learning, was more powerful than beauty.